And just like that, I am live again. I think I'm live for sure this time now, 100%. There's always a weird, like, you went live. Just kidding, now you went live. Welcome, my friends. If anybody's watching this back, allow me to welcome you to my home. My home is Gen 3. Gen 3 is truly where shiny hunting for me started legitimately. I do count all of the Gen 2 hunts I did, but as a kid, I think I only did I did less than what I actually thought, especially because back in Gen 2, I didn't know that breeding with shinies gave me like extreme odds, like 1 in 32. I'm not so sure I counted that after all that time. Gen 3 is where I got very serious about it, and also where I kind of got serious about battling. Gen 4, and when EVs and IVs kind of were discovered, that's when I really got serious about battling. But for now, anyways, allow me to welcome you guys. I love these streams. Okay, Ivanus, you unfortunately got an ad right away. I was going to use you for my microphone check, or not even so much that. When it comes to the old school game, I want to make sure that the chat sounds, or I'm sorry, that the sound is good. In fact, I'm going to check that myself because here's the issue. This is actually a Nintendo DS. You are watching a cartridge. This is no gimmicks here. This is the real deal. You guys are, unfortunately, you're not going to hear much until I encounter Kyogre. So let's start with an encounter. Ivanus, can I get a quick confirmation while I say right in front of Kyogre? Can I get a quick confirmation? Can you hear what I'm saying? Or are you still stuck in an ad? And it's not working. What's not working? What's not working? No. No? I think you might be trolling me. How did you answer a question if you can't hear anything? I don't believe you, Ivanus. All right, well, regardless, here we go. I'm going to double check. Let's do an encounter really quickly. I got to double check and make sure that my moves still do the damage I think they do, because I've got some high-stake odds for this incredible hunt, by the way. I haven't done this hunt since I gave a girl this Pokemon to put on Pokemon Coliseum because of its pink brilliance. All right, yeah, watch it be shiny on the test encounter. All right, I can see it, I can hear it. It looks like you can hear it. Ivanus, do you think that my words are too loud? Is anything too loud real quickly? I haven't used this setup for only one screen. The last time I did this was actually Giratina, and I did that in Pokemon Diamond, so I had all the audio settings for Diamond, not for Pokemon Sapphire. So everything is fine. Perfect. I just want to make sure something's not too loud. So, Jar Jar, come on out. Here's the strategy. I should be able to hit it with an Earthquake, and it'll never kill it unless I crit. And that's where the fun comes in, because, oh, would that be fun for me to have my first official fail as a critical Earthquake. So, with that in mind, we will be just fine. I can go ahead and start. Now, watch this. Remember the old school days? How do you soft reset? A, B, start plus. Sorry, start select. I don't know why I said plus. I was looking at my Switch controller sitting here just for a second. All right, so we've got another fun little thing here. You see how it says the battery is dead? The stream is going to be a really interesting hunt. When you have an internal clock battery that is dead, what happens is that you have a seed that never moves because there is no internal clock to run while the game is off. Because of that, every single time I boot into the game, it is the same frame every single time. Meaning that if Kyogre is going to shine on, let's just throw a number out there, frame number 512 is the first frame it'll shine on. That means that no matter what happens, at 60 frames a minute, it's going to take me roughly, was it 60 frames a minute? Doesn't sound right. I'm sorry, that's 60 a second. Either way, it's going to take me like 10 seconds to get a Kyogre encounter that is shiny, which means that it will never shine at 1 second from boot. It will never shine at 2 seconds for boot. Basically, think of this as a clock. Right now, this hunt is different than any other hunt you're probably used to since the internal clock battery died. So I'm not going to start by counting how many seconds it is. We're just going to chat it up. One of the things I love about these shiny hunting streams that I have done in the last years is just sitting back, relaxing, and shiny hunting while chatting about completely nonsense topics or whatever we may be talking about. All I know is it is great to just sit back, relax, and talk and shoot the shit the entire time we're doing this. That said, Ivanus, thank you for coming by. I truly appreciate seeing you tonight. About the stream topic, Gen 2 or 6 need remakes. Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I've used that stream topic before, but it doesn't have to be Pokemon. To that point, yeah, Gen 2, Gen 6. Oh, man, let's go Meryl and Pichu, or let's go Gen 2 Johto. Never happened. Never happened. Never got a let's go game. I think my hope is fading fast, so it's unfortunate. But thank you for liking on the stream, Ivanus. I have to believe that was you, or it was Archo. How are you doing? Good to see you, Archo. Welcome back to 2003, man. How's it going? You will note that there's a little bit of extra time every single reset when I have to go through the fact that the save battery is dead. But think of it this way. With a dead clock, this is what is called RNG manipulation. However, because I will not do RNG manipulation, I will not actively engage in RNG manipulation, we're really just doing a random number generator sequence that never changes. It's actually just straight up not a random number anymore. Hey, how do you guys like the setup, though? Everything looking good? I love it, man. This is a cartridge. This is a real cartridge. This game exists physically in my hand right now. This is not an emulator. What assignment are you done with, man? You're free, huh? This was where Nito used to have the Riz back in the day, because, man, did I know how to impress. The girl that I gave this Kyogre to, I mean, we didn't work out, but it's not because we don't like each other. It just didn't happen. But either way, I gave her this, man. I was like, hey, how about this? Who needs flowers? Who needs chocolate? I got you a pink Kyogre. And she had Pokemon Coliseum. Enough said. But since she still has that Kyogre till this day, by the way, I figure I'll go find myself another one, huh? Yeah, it's Riz. It's not plays anymore, and it's not I got the moves. No, now they call it the Riz. So I figure I'll stay with the times. I never use current lingo / jargon / slang. I never have. When I was in high school, no, I take it back. It was middle school. The word hella got invented, and what you heard right there was probably the third time I've ever used that word in my life. So it's not a matter of me trying to be like, hello, fellow kids, because I was always against dumb lingo / whatever you want to call it, honestly. I was always against that. I was always more scientific and punctual. So, but since I really don't want to be like straight up, turn my cap sideways and be like straight up poser, I don't want to be like, I got the plays, I got the moves. I'm like, yeah, I'll use Riz. Tamagotchi games need a reboot. See, good answer. Very good answer. A lot of people would agree with you. And I have heard you say that in the past. But, yeah, WGIF for sure, man, dude. It's a pleasure to be back here in Gen 3. So, full disclosure, I got distracted, and I'm tired of getting distracted. You talking about age? Let me tell you one of the scariest things. Let me go deep dive right into the dark, right? Every time I feel like, oh, wow, this year went by and I didn't do half the things I wanted to, I realize I'm getting closer and closer to never being able to do them. So, for Year of the Dragon, I wanted to do a Rayquaza hunt because I'm like, dude, I want to recapture the magic that I had of catching Rayquaza in Sapphire, not Emerald. My first shiny Rayquaza ever was Sapphire. So I thought, let me recapture that magic. Well, on the way to Rayquaza, I decided to stop and grab Kyogre, and I never actually streamed this hunt until tonight. So, here we are at Kyogre. And no Master Ball. I passed on the Master Ball. I said, you know what? I'm catching it in a dive ball. A net ball. And that's going to be how it is. So, if this thing gets away from me, I'm telling you, man, it's going to be the first time I've ever failed. Did I beat FFX5? Sorry, XV. Yes, I did, actually. I beat that a while ago. Months ago. I did not do the DLCs. All of them yet? I've done none of them. I kind of wanted to, and I still want to, and I may still do them. But for now, anyways, yeah, I loved Final Fantasy 15. Absolutely loved it. Next game, actually, it was Hades. I've been working on Hades. I wanted to see what the ending was, and there's about 300 hours of content. So I was working on Hades for a little while. I've been living for 3 months at work, and I didn't mean to. So Hades has just kind of been on the docket. After Hades, either Final Fantasy 16. I really want to get back to Majora's Mask. Naya keeps saying she wants to. She's a mess. Her schedule is a mess. But we're both trying to get out of it, and I think holiday time for sure. What I would love to do during the holidays as well is pick up my Fire Emblem file that I never finished last year. It's like I watched that back to catch up. I'm like, God, I need to finish that. I want to see what that path has for me. I cannot believe I never finished it yet. Ivan, it says, look up real quick. Tamagotchi Life, I saw that. What else did I miss here? Pokemon Ranger or Dungeon games. I'll give you that. The Pokemon Dungeon game on the Switch, it was solid. I did not play it personally, but Naya was playing the hell out of it. And yeah, I thought that was excellent. Oh, man, I'd love to get back to Fire Emblem. See, that's kind of how I'm doing it here. Is wait 30 seconds, wait 40 seconds, and then encounter Kyogre. If you guys want me to go through how the random number generator works, I would love to. But I think it's going to be boring. But here's the thing. I love talking about random science stuff and math and all that crap. So, but that said, man, I remember the first time I did this hunt. I'm going to take you back to, I think, 2003. I don't think it was, it might have been 2004. I'm trying to think here. So we had let me run you down memory alley, all right? We're going to go down Nito's brain here. If you guys remember 2003 or 4 as well as I do, that'd be a miracle because I don't remember a whole lot. But what I do remember is this. I caught Kyogre on Sapphire because for the first time ever, my parents messed up and grabbed the wrong game, or they grabbed the other games. I was supposed to get one Pokemon game for Christmas, birthday, whatever it was. And instead of Sapphire, my dad grabbed Sapphire and my mom grabbed Ruby. So I got both of them. And it's till this day the only time I've ever bought both games. So with that in mind, I said, hey, this is great. I can have both of the legendaries. This was right as I mean, I had only just discovered shiny hunting existed. It was argued online that there was no such thing as shiny hunting. They said that the shiny values only get rolled when you start a new save file. I saw a bunch of different theories, and when I finally said as a kid that I wanted to see for sure, beyond any doubt, if shinies were real, that's when I went to Lugia, and that was my first legendary ever in Sapphire, and I was screaming as a little child when that thing spawned. I'm going to turn the mic down really quickly. I notice it's kind of getting a little high. All right, that should be a little better with that. So anyways, so once I discovered it, Gen 3 comes out, and I honestly didn't think anything about shiny hunting. I went through both stories, Sapphire and Ruby, and what ended up happening was I said, you know what? I'm going to restart my save file on Sapphire and shiny hunt a few of these Pokemon. My friends at the time, they didn't really know anything about shinies, and it was the coolest thing ever. So I did not grab Kyogre. So you know what? I'm thinking actually it was probably 2004, even possibly 2005, because I went to Rayquaza first, and I caught that black Rayquaza on whatever game. It might have been Ruby actually. No, it had to be Sapphire. So I went into that tower. I caught black Rayquaza so freaking fast. It was crazy how fast that thing spawned. I did not know what it looked like, by the way. I had no idea it was going to be black and sick. It looks amazing. So I showed up one day at my friend's house. We had a few friends over. We were doing this just fun game night thing, and I got the black Rayquaza. So we decided, hey, let's do some battles. I whip out that black Rayquaza, and they go nuts. It was amazing. They're like, holy crap, what is that thing? How did you get one? How is it black? That's so awesome. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty much a god at this game. It wasn't until Yeah, that happened first. So then I'm guessing it was actually Kyogre. I went back and did another save file. I'm going to say it was 2004, possibly even 2005 that I actually caught Kyogre because I gave Kayla that pink Kyogre probably about 2004 or 5. It was not the games were out for a little while by then. So Emerald was out even. So yeah, I would say actually I got my timing off a little bit here. I'm not in 2003 is when I did this hunt. As I exclaimed in the description here, that was a lie. I actually, I forgot I was going to put a nice blue orb on the thumbnail. Doesn't matter. I'm not a fan of the thumbnail I made. I liked it at first and now I hate it. Yeah, they were wrong about shiny hunting. Dude, yeah, shiny hunting was so hard trying to find information about shiny hunting online. Everybody had different theories how it worked. But that was back with Sapphire. Crystal was out at the time too, and I wanted that pink Lugia so bad. And it was an old Z.Infusion-free board that I saw, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta try this. And as a kid, I'm thinking, I have to have that Lugia. I want the shiny Lugia, man. And when it happened, oh my god, I thought I was a god. It was amazing. I'll never recapture that excitement. Ivanus says, what's the worst Pokemon generation and worst Pokemon game? You're asking a guy that hasn't played 5 or 6. Yes, I am on it, Archo, before you say anything. I talked to Janinjuice about an overlay for black. So, hey, we're moving. The value of shinies is kind of deflated. I would say it deflated the day that you could buy it on eBay. Hacked games. I had a copy or a pre-programmed list of all the Pokemon. You had one shiny copy of all of them. So that was the day it deflated the shinies. That's why I'm like, you know what? At this point, the way I always did it, I always gave my shinies to my friends. I always gave them away, traded them away, and enjoyed the hunt more than the actual product. Gen 3, though, it was before then. Gen 3, I was still enjoying the product. I was showing off my black Rayquaza. Dude, you should have seen all the kids at school talking about that. Like, did you hear? Oh my god, can you believe he has a black Rayquaza? That's crazy. Ah, those were the days. Don't like fake shinies, but if it makes kids happy, I'm not mad. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm not a stickler. As long as you're not, like, hacking your game. And believe me, I thought this would be something that people do, and I don't want to dig in and see. But I bet there are several YouTubers out there that fake their shinies by simply hacking the game, putting in a script code, and you hold the L button down, and then you boot up the game, and whatever you encounter will be shiny. Then they fake the reaction and post the video, and that's how they get, I guarantee that they're out there. I will never be one of them. Even if it means I don't have 5,000 videos of shinies. Hey, what am I going to do? Shiny hunt? I mean, yeah, I'm enjoying tonight, and I'm sipping some coffee, and, all the, Ivanus with the ad. You know what sucks, too, is if you get an ad on YouTube like this, and maybe I should just turn ads off on shiny streams, because what happens if you get an ad and then a damn shiny spawns, and then you get back and you missed it, it's there. I mean, I don't go crazy for them anyways, so I guess you wouldn't miss, like, any crazy reactions necessarily. But, man, imagine, funny you mentioned the ad. All right, so Archo got one too. Dude, I don't understand why. Supposedly a way to unlock Luigi in Super Mario 64. Oh, man, all the good stuff. Shaman did not shine for my hunt yet. Nope. Shaman is still out there. If I wanted to, we could turn this into a dual stream. I'm not a fan of doing that because I always thought that was a cheap way to just make sure you double your odds, which means you double your stream moments. And, I mean, business is business, I guess, right? But I'm not a straight... If I were a YouTuber that was trying to make a living off of this, trust me, I would have my face on camera, I'd have a good setup, I'd do all that stuff. I am enjoying where I'm at, how I'm at. So I will leave it at one screen. However, if you guys want it, I absolutely could put the second screen up there and throw Shaman up there. I've still got that overlay set up and ready to go. I could do that all day, man. Shaman on the left, Kyogre on the right. Yeah, I found Darkrai. I think that one I was not dual hunting. Yeah, I wasn't dual hunting because I found Giratina by accident in Diamond. Well, it wasn't by accident. It was intentional. But I found it while I was hunting Dialga. Not Dialga, geez. No, Darkrai. Sorry. I can talk. Darkrai. I was Darkrai in BDSP, and then on um, regular Diamond, I had Giratina going. And that was like my fourth one. Let me count up. The one, two, yeah, that was my fourth Giratina. I'm done with Giratina, man. I am so done with Giratina. I am happy with everything I have ever done with Giratina. I had one in Diamond. I had one in Platinum. I had one in Brilliant Diamond, and then another one in Diamond again, regular Diamond. So I have 4 shiny Giratina. I am satisfied. I currently am in possession of 2 of them. Yeah, Ivanus, I will link you that stream if you want to see it. I have it. I remember exactly what stream it was and everything. I would love to show you that. Let me move the mic out of my way here. Then, yeah, I can absolutely do that. I can show you. It was amazing, dude. What it tells you too, it really doesn't tell you anything. But I just remember the video for Brilliant Diamond. I found Giratina while I was playing Final Fantasy X2 with Naya. And she wasn't over at the time. I was just grinding so that we could do a boss battle when she came here the next day. That's when I found Giratina at like midnight. So that battle took like 4 minutes. That video was only 5 minutes long for Giratina in Brilliant Diamond. Then we go back over to Diamond, and it's a 20-minute video because Giratina would not budge. I was like, wow, this is such a dichotomy here where on one end it was like, oh, it's Giratina, catch. And on the other end, it's like, would you just stay in the goddamn ball? It was old school. I mean, Kyogre doesn't have the best catch rate in the world either, for that matter, but Kyogre will play nice. Even though I don't have a Master Ball. I skipped out on the Master Ball. There's 2 reasons I did. Number 1, I forgot where it was at. I was just rushing through the game. I wasn't paying attention, and I totally forgot. And number 2, I said, you know what? I don't need it anyways. Let's do this without a Master Ball. And yes, I mean Rayquaza too. Rayquaza, man, I will do it without a Master Ball. Been there, done that. I hate to say I did that, but I caught Rayquaza in a Master Ball. And then when I redid the new playthrough for Kyogre, same thing, Master Ball. And I'm like, you know what? We're not doing this. Your first shiny was a random Zubat. Speaking of, oh, I don't have it with me. I ran into a Zubat on this save file completely by accident. It was a shiny Zubat on the way to this Kyogre, and I'm like, well, you can't complain about that, right? It was just, hey, let me walk through this cave. Oh, a shiny. So it was a good omen for this hunt anyways. It was like, you know what? If that's the case, if that's how this is going to go, we're going to find this Kyogre quick. But my first shiny ever was technically Red Gyarados in Silver, but that was storyline. Where I got hooked into shiny hunting was as a kid. I saw that Red Gyarados. I saw it was shiny. The thing always made those sparkly noises when it spawned on screen, and I loved it. Well, maybe 20 minutes later, I'm in the Dragon's Den in Silver version. I go fishing, and I pull purple Dragonair out of the water. And it shined just like Gyarados, rather. So I caught that. And on Pokemon Stadium, these things are awesome. Which I believe I made a video a couple years ago. I had all my Gen 2 shinies on Crystal version. And the save battery finally died. So I was very sad about that for a very brief amount of time. That said, that Dragonair still lives on Pokemon Stadium, I believe. I believe I still have it. It's the only shiny that lives from when I was a child. And I never evolved it, by the way. Thankfully. It gets ugly when it evolves. Either way, that was what hooked me into shiny hunting. It was a shame because I remember trying to think, like, how do I get more of these sparkly Pokemon? How do I do this? And it basically came down to I eventually looked up on an early GameFAQs and Z.Envision free. And I found the rumors of how to do it. I also ran across that breeding with a shiny makes more shinies. I did not know that at the time that was the case because in Gen 2, when you breed with shinies, the child Pokemon has like a 1 in 30 chance of being shiny. Full odds? Full odds. Today it's full odds. 1 in 8,192. OG odds. And it is not my first time doing it with those odds. So let's see. You said I want to know the RNG for this game since your cartridge is dead. All right, I'll be happy to explain. So this is how it works. In the game, the frames are constantly moving at 60 frames a second, I believe. It's not 30 frames. I'm pretty sure it's 60 frames. So every second, it cycles through 60 frames. And those 60 frames all have computational data for building the Pokemon. What's its nature? What are its IVs? What's its gender? Is it shiny or is it not shiny? So if you think about all of the combinations, that's where the 1 in 8,192 comes from, is every single combination that is possible also has a shiny counterpart. So you think about, what if it's adamant nature, 6 IV, so it's 32 total, and it is male, or in this case, Kyogre can't be a gender. It's male, and it is shiny. Okay, that's one variant. Now you've got the non-shiny variant of that same setup. Boom, there's another variant. And then what if it's 5 IV on all stats except for one of them is 6 IV? That's another variant. Same setup, now with a different nature. We'll go with a calm nature. Now that's another variant. So you see how there are thousands of possibilities. Well, every single one of those possibilities has a counterpart of, is it shiny or is it not shiny? And that's where 1 in 8,192 comes in. So, while those frames are cycling, it cycles with the clock even if the game is off because of the save battery for the clock. So it's going through 60 frames a second. Every time you encounter a Pokemon, it stops on a frame, and that Pokemon's stats are rolled right there and then. On this game, that clock is dead, which means that the frame that I saved on never changes. It cannot change. I saved the game, and every single time I come back to this game, I come back to the exact frame I saved on, which means whichever frame is coming up first, in which Kyogre is going to be shiny, never moves. So let's say it's 30 seconds from boot up of the game is when the first shiny frame comes up, right? Every single time I boot up the game, 30 seconds in, there's a shiny frame. That frame never moves. That is why this is not truly a random number generator hunt. This is technically a seed hunt, except I am not manipulating the RNG to see where I'm at. I'm just going. So the analytical way to do this is to do like 10 resets 1 second after, as soon as possible. So it'd be as soon as possible after boot. Do 10 restarts, see what happens. Because after all, it's moving 60 frames per second. So then I would go 1 second after startup, and let's do another 10 resets, or maybe 30 or 50 resets. And then wait and do 2 seconds, you know? That's kind of how the hunt would go if I were analytically trying to find where the shiny frame is. There are ways to determine it, and that's where RNG manipulation comes in. But because my save battery's dead, basically, this hunt, you're looking for the frame, and the frame never moves. So it's not truly random number generating. So I'm just YOLOing. Pretty much. If you treat it as... Put it this way. The only thing you can't do with the hunt like this is you cannot... Sorry, I had to clear my throat. You cannot spawn in and try to roll the dice as quickly as possible. So like that, right? I literally held the button down, so this is as quickly as possible. If I were to keep turning this game on, or soft resetting, right? And the second the game turns on, I walk into Kyogre's line of sight and initiate the battle. If I were to do that, and that frame, which you just saw, by the way, is not shiny, it would never be shiny. I would literally reset 500,000 times, and it would never be shiny, because it can't be shiny. Because we just determined that the first frame possible for me to encounter Kyogre on is not a shiny frame. So as long as you're mindful of that, you won't roll yourself into a corner where every single encounter is identical. And that's basically how this hunt is different, because when the save battery is dead, it does that. The beauty of a dead save battery is lost on games where the clock moves, regardless of the save battery, because It's the actual system clock that works. So that's kind of the unfortunate part, is the beauty of that is lost. Also, you can do that with the modern games. It's just different because they switched a few years ago. Back in BDSP, I think was the first one. No. I think it was Sword and Shield. They use a random number generator that is called Exershift 128, and that one takes a lot more factors into consideration of what exactly the shiny frame is, or I should say the frame on boot. So when you boot up the game, it takes a few more things in, like what day is it, what time is it, those kind of things. Archer says, question, if you save on a different frame, then does anything change? The answer is yes. Imagine a large wheel, okay? A wheel that has 100,000 ticks on it. Every second, that wheel goes 60 ticks. All right, so it's click, 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 click. It's moving along. Every tick is a combination of nature, IVs, gender, and shiny. That is what you're doing. So if you save, what you're doing is that click has gone 60 frames a second, 60 ticks on the wheel of 100,000 possibilities every second. When you save, that wheel moves, and that means your seed has started to it's restarted. It's a new spot now. Absolutely how it works. This is confusing, me writing random things into my essays. Hey, you're asking me. Imagine how I would have felt if I was like, you know what, write an essay. I could do a hell of a video essay on shiny hunting. I have thought about doing that, by the way. A video essay of 20 years of shiny hunting. I'll wait till it's 25 years and then I'll put a video together. I've put down the shinies for a little while here, but I'm back at the Cave of Origin. Look up. Let's see. Got the odds and your head hurts. Watch it be shiny, which it wasn't. And what, did I miss anything else? Your first shiny was Obama Snow. I don't hate Obama Snow. I like Obama Snow. The shiny, I will admit, is rough, but that's because like every ice Pokemon seems to have crap shinies. I don't know why. Or it's not crap shinies, it's just the same shiny. Cryogonal is pretty sweet because at least its eyes are red. But yeah, most ice shinies, even Glaceon, they just made it a little brighter. A little less blue, a little more white on the color palette. And I don't know why, but that's like the golden rule for ice shinies. Archa says, so the seed lineup in a dead cartridge is always the same. So if you save a few seconds ahead of where you saved now, yeah, so if I were to save right now, then my new seed would be where I saved. So imagine that giant wheel with 100,000 possibilities again. If I save right now, it will have moved like 200 ticks forward or across the wheel. It will run itself over eventually. But for now, it will eventually get back to the same seed I was at where I saved now. But if I save 5 seconds after my boot up, that means that the wheel has moved 300 frames. And now I'm starting in a new spot. But the only way to avoid that, or I should say the way that I avoid that, is I simply make sure that when I'm resetting the game, I don't reset at the same time interval every single time. Or I don't engage Kyogre at the same time interval every time. I just got to make sure that that I'm changing it up a little bit and just talking with you guys. It's nice to sit back and just relax and talk with you guys about whatever crosses our minds. That's what makes this so brilliant. Brilliant diamond. Archo says, and a cart that is still alive and kicking keeps the wheel spinning. Yeah, so that's exactly it. Is the wheel is always spinning when the battery is moving because the clock never stops. So that's why that wheel keeps going. It's still going 60 frames a second. It's not actually calculating anything. It's just keeping track of the clock. However, all that data loads because when you spawn into the game, it's like, oh, it's 5 o'clock, and it keeps date too. So no, I take it back. This game does not keep date, just time. So it'll say like it's 5 o'clock, which means that you're on frame 30,692. And the next time, if you save at that exact spot and restart the game, you're not actually at the exact same spot. Now it's 501. So when you spawn into the game, it says, I'm on frame 31,062, That's why it's truly random when you're doing a regular soft reset, because you're spawning into new frames every single time you get into the game. But for me, I'm locked. I'm in the same frame every single time. Where I stop that wheel is where I go back to every time I open the game. I could always repair the dead battery. Ironically, for shiny hunters, I don't get it. You're not really hunting. I mean, I guess you're hunting, but if you manipulate the RNG, and what I mean by manipulation there are simple calculators that tell you what frames equivalent to what stats. So you can not only get shinies, you can get 6 IV perfect nature shinies, or perfect IV optimal nature IVs, or nature rather. And that is not truly shiny hunting, if you think about it. Because if it were shiny hunting, you would be rolling the dice as many times as it takes to find it. If you already know where the shiny is going to spawn at, then you're sort of hunting, but you're shooting a bullet at a fish in a barrel full of fish made of fish. So that's not really hunting. It's manipulation, which rightfully so, that's what it's called. However, in the world of those shiny hunters, this game is exactly what they're after. They want dead save batteries. You know what you can't do when you emulate? That's not true. I'm sure when you emulate that you can... emulators, I'm sure you just tick a box. Battery dead or battery alive. Ivanus says, it's sad kids won't get to experience these games if they never get remade. I mean, there was Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, which are absolutely top tier. Minus one little aspect. We don't have the Battle Tower, but that's all right. The Battle Tower was amazing, and the Battle Tower is life, but I'm not that attached to it. I did get the golden trophy from Battle Tower, though. I remember one of my strategies was just send Regirock out, explosion. Send Regice out, explosion. Send Registeel out, take down in battle whatever their Pokemon is. But that was not what ended up getting me the golden trophy. I just remember I think I got the silver trophy with that. That strategy was amazing. Explosion. From a legendary on top of that. I'll tell you guys, that feeling that I got, I mean, it was crazy. You guys were there for it. You guys were around for, you had to be, because you guys were definitely there. So you were there in Gen 2. I don't know if you were there for Gen 1. When Gen 1 came out, honestly, I didn't even know Moltres and Articuno and Zapdos were legendaries. So forget that. I killed Moltres, so that was an accident. Fast forward to Gen 2. It was made explicitly clear in the story that Articuno, scratch that, move forward a generation, Suicune, Raikou, and Entei were legendary. So when I found them, that was amazing. That was awesome. And I didn't even think to shiny hunt them until, like, probably, I think I was in high school when I shiny hunted the roamers. I never shiny hunted a roamer until I was in high school. So about 2007, 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. Anyways, so those were the legendaries, though. They were giant dogs. It was cool, and they were roamers, and it was amazing. But then Gen 3 comes along, and these crazy Titan Pokemon, and their Braille writing crazy. I had to get the guidebook to figure out how the hell to get them. These crazy Pokemon are spawning in, and I'm like, what are these things, dude? The Regis were crazy in 2003. That was insane. It felt like they were truly legendary Pokemon because they were these ancient, old Pokemon that were awakening. It was amazing, dude. What a feeling that was. And I can't tell you how much, not only did I want a Jirachi in the worst way, but my god, Deoxys was the coolest Pokemon in existence. And still is one of the coolest Pokemon in existence. Hey, Raven, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream tonight. Ivanus says, I do feel, though, kids won't experience some games since they probably won't be remade and the console will be really hard to get, which I agree. I can't stand that, like, Pokemon games are worth $300 and Fire Emblem games on the GameCube and the Wii are worth hundreds of dollars, and, like, nobody can afford that stuff, man. That's why people emulate it. I hate that there's a collector's market for old games, especially with as many as they made. Ah, the old school pixel look, going back to Gen 3. Isn't it amazing, Raven? Yep, these were the days, man. Kyogre, the old school style. Wait till you see this thing spawn in pink. Raven, I think you will especially like it. I mean, you can see what it looks like. It's on the right there. And don't worry, Raven. Don't worry. I know I've been having some rotten luck when it comes to Shaman, but we're not done with Shaman. Shaman is not going on the back burner permanently. In fact, I threw it out there. Maybe I'll put it out as a poll. If I should dual hunt, rather, Kyogre on the right, Shaman on the left, like I did with Darkrai and Giratina. Man, what a nicer, well, other than the flooding the earth thing, what a much nicer vibe that is. On one end, I had Darkrai and Giratina. I mean, like, you're in hell. Welcome. And then it's like, okay, now we're going to do Shaman and Pink Kyogre. Now, I know Kyogre is trying to flood the earth, but it looks cuddleable. It looks nice. It's a big fish. It's pink. It's kind of inviting, right? That's a lot nicer than, like, Satan and Nightmare. Ivanus says, me too, Nito. I also hate people who think emulators are the end of the world when the games they use... Yeah, I have no problems with emulators. I just don't use emulators to, like, shiny hunt, where I can hack it and be like, oh my god, look, I found a shiny, aren't I amazing? Oh, you used an emulator. You probably cheated, too. Arches says, I don't get the whole idea behind old games being worth so much money. I hate it. I hate it, hate it, hate it. Yeah, dude, I have Metroid Prime 2, and Metroid Prime 3. Those 3 games alone are like $500 together. That's stupid. It shouldn't be that much. Although, if I ever need an extra $500, I guess, you know, if I'm desperate, then those 2 come first. Those 3 go first. I have Other M, but I didn't hate Other M. I'll be honest. I don't remember... I honestly don't remember a lot of details about Metroid Prime. I remember the big stuff, but I don't remember all the nitty-gritty details. And all I remember was that Other M, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I know some of the arguments that it was out of place the 4th game in, and now suddenly Samus is going to act like this versus that. I get it, but I still enjoyed it. I had a fine time doing it, and I got to play with the motion controls. Samus under the control of a Wiimote, so you're doing the motion controls. That was sick, dude. That was awesome. Raven is a lurkin'. Who knows? Maybe something amazing is going to happen, Raven. You never know when you're shiny hunting. It could happen at any time. Any encounter could be the encounter. Anything is possible out here, especially when things like 100x matches or multiple shinies spawn when Raven comes in. I mean, you're my lucky charm. My good luck charm is Magical Raven. You have an original copy of Tamagotchi Life, Japanese exactly, which think my parents got confused. Awesome! That's amazing. Archer says, I get it with the vintage graded ones, sealed copies. I agree. College would have been paid in a single game cartridge, depending on what game I kept in the box. But forget that. If you want to play it, then it shouldn't be worth so much money. I will admit, if I had known what the gaming world was going to do, I would have told my dad, buy 2 of every game that you buy. 1 stays in the box, I'll play the other one. And then I would tell him, give me 15 years and I'll pay you back for all of it. Remember when games like Mario Sunshine and Pokemon Channel were $30 for 1 cartridge? Oh, those were the days. That is said and done. Although, I mean, there are still options out there. Look at Hades. Hades was like $25, $30, I think. I got a game like that for $30. Dude. I don't even think it was $30. I'm 90% sure I paid $25 for Hades. I got a 10 out of 10 game for $25, new in the box. And it has something other Switch games don't have. It has a booklet that came with it. You don't see that anymore either. Also, I found that copy of Pokemon Black 2 at a yard sale for $5. Everybody on Twitter said that I used Thief and I successfully pulled off. I was like, hey, just because they were selling it for $5, I kind of feel guilty now that I realize maybe I should have offered them more because they didn't know what they had, but whatever. Fish watered down. How are you doing? As you're a fan of fish, you're going to particularly like this hunt then. How's it going for you? And welcome to the stream. This is old school like I used to do it back in, I might have been in grade, yeah, I was in grade school, dude. I wasn't even in middle school yet. I was in grade school. I was young for this one. No. You know what? No, because I gave this pink Kyogre to a girl named Kayla. And that means I was in middle school. So that tells you the time frame. I was definitely in middle school by the time I did that. Copy of Persona 3 is worth over $100. If your copy is worth on PSP, are you saying? Because if yours is worth $100, so is mine. Dude, look, games should be accessible to everybody. Literally, I am in favor of contracting out games to be reprinted well after the consoles are discontinued, as long as it makes people who still want to get their hands on the game able to get their hands on the game without a modern console. If I were president, that's what I would do. I would talk in the gaming companies into reprinting old games. And then all those people that invested in old games would be pissed because they'd be like, oh my God, now my game's worth $10 again. Great. Good. How about you? Haven't talked to you in a while now. Hey, well, it's a great time to see you. Hey, I welcome in anybody who comes in, no matter how long it's been. We'll pick up where we left off. How has everything been for you between summer and October? I had an awesome October. I will say something funny happened with kind of a Halloween group I'm a part of. It wasn't very funny. Somebody got hurt, but I sympathize for her. But she also, it's a very long story. Where she did something she should not have done while inebriated and ended up falling into something. I'm like, yeah, maybe October was too much of a party. Let's calm that down next time. But Ivan says, okay, so funny thing, and I admit it, I have a copy of Monster High New Ghoul in School for the 3DS, and it's $30 now. Well, I thought Monster High made a huge comeback. Isn't that the one that's got, what's the character? I know we were talking about this like a year ago. A character that has made a huge comeback. I saw this character at Halloween stores. What is her name? It's killing me. I can't remember what her name is. Raven says, Nito, as a young boy, I would have wished to met you then. Jealous of the girls? Oh, Raven. I was amazing back then. I was awesome. But no, seriously, we were talking about this. This is killing me. I'm going to have to Google it. Hang on one second. This is killing me. Yeah, I was talking about how I was like, I was the talk of the town, man. I was the Pokemon Mafia boss, like Archo said. I had a black Rayquaza, and here I am giving a girl a pink Kyogre. Like, I was on it, man. I was the guy. Let's see. What was it called? Monster High. Draculaura. That's what it was. Draculaura. Draculaura is a character. Laura is a character that has made a massive comeback and is super mainstream and popular now. So technically that game it makes sense. I should wait 69 seconds for the next encounter. Ha! Ha! Brilliant. You know what, Archo? We'll do a 69-second encounter just for you. And if it shines on 69, I quit. Archo can have the Kyogre, and I quit. Where's my clock? Hang on one second. I passed up my clock. I decided to rework where my apps are just to make them a little easier, and I screwed myself over. I should have just left them where they were. All right, so it's from boot. You ready? Here we go. And now. All right, 69 seconds in, I will encounter Kyogre. If this one shines you owe it, it's yours. I'll figure out how to get it to Pokemon Home. I don't even know if I can, but I will try. Draculaura, my beloved. Yeah, that was the character for sure. Now I remember. I can't believe I forgot. Draculaura is amazing, but I don't know, like, her new type, and I miss her old version. That's right. The first time we had this talk, Raven, you were familiar with the rebooted version of that. Is it a show, a movie, or a game, or all of it? I think it was a show, right? Monster High is a show, and then it has a game accompanying it. All right, it'll be Lucy. Lucy, you can absolutely name it. Lucy the Kyogre, the 69 Kyogre. It shines at 69. Nito quits Pokemon. It was a show. Now it has a movie, which I personally don't like. All right, I get you. Here we go. And 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68. Now. All right, the encounter has been made, Archo. This is the 69 encounter. This is just for you. I can even give it another chance just in case I hit a different frame next time. We can do 69 seconds again. I'll give you 2 of them. Here we go. That is blue as can be, my friend. That is as blue as can be. But don't worry, I'll give you 1 more because you always hit the same number as many times as you can before. Or, well, you give it like 30 tries. All right, here we go. Ready? Start. You prefer the movies of... Oh, wow. I didn't even know it was early to late 2000s. I never even heard about it back in the day. Raven, I was blind to all of that. It has a game and dolls of it. I saw the dolls, and I saw a bunch of, like, Draculaura makeup and costumes at several Halloween stores. Not everyone could afford the old games when it was popular, and that's true. If it was on the DS was a bit of a jump. I mean, the Game Boys were pretty cheap, all things considered, but then when the DS came around, things started getting expensive. God, dude, when the PSP debuted, there were a lot of people that said that thing is not worth... I don't remember how much it was, but it was a lot. The PSP was extremely expensive for what it was back then. Now it's cheap, you know, the price is, it's crazy now. All right, here we go. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68. Let's do it right there. 69. Good, sir. 69. I did the dialogue because I'm not sure at what point the encounter is considered started. If it's at the dialogue or if it's at the non-playable version where I can't toggle anything. All right, this is 69 seconds. Archo, that is blue, my friend. That is a blue Kyogre. Good try. Archo says, my childhood game was Mario Kart Wii. Recently, I've been going back to beat all of my old-time trials. For me, the racing game was Crash Team Racing, and I got the remake because that thing is insane. I loved reliving that. Fishwater Down says, Nito, my Splat team is back in the playoffs. Ah! And we're not even trying that hard. So for anybody that's not sure what's going on here, Fishwater Down, who has gone by about 4,500 names since I've known you, is actually a legit Splatoon champion. So... you're back in the race. You're back in the running. Here we go again. Fish Watered Down is your latest moniker. That is what you're going to go by now. But as far as we're all concerned, the name is Champion. Hey, Wizard-tastic! Wizard-tastic. You know, Bear-tastic, Beach-tastic, Present-tastic. I think that... I don't know what the next one's going to be, but obviously you're still living in the last Splatfest. Hey, how did you do during the Grizzco extra work, guys? I had to laugh because I remember when I said it's going to be like the highest score ever. Oh, I was so right. It sucked how high that score was. I was like, I am not playing that many hours to get a score like that, unfortunately. Ivanus says, well, I'm going to go further. All right. I will catch you later, Ivanus. If I find a shiny, I will send you the clip. For now, I will make sure I send you that Giratina find on Diamond. Raven says a lot of things. I wanted a Nintendo DS. I never could get it. I still wish I could buy it. If the DS came with so much stuff too. I mean, there was the DSi, which I have right now. I actually use that to shiny hunt. Then there was obviously the 3DS, the DSi. The DSi became the new Nintendo DS. Then it became the 3DS. And yeah, the DS, there's so many of them out there. And the DS XL, the 3DS XL, and all the special ones. Naya's got the really cool one. She's got an Yveltal 3DS XL. That's what I played my very first series on this channel ever, Pokemon Moon, and my Blind Nuzlocke of Ultra Moon. That was the DS I used. Naya loaned it to me, and then she went and edited my videos for me, and I was like, woo, thanks. Didn't get to play it. Then you didn't miss much. We got our asses whooped. Series needs a reboot. I need some Rhythm Heaven and Tamagotchi Life. Well, as it happens to be, Wizardtastic, Ivanus had thrown out Tamagotchi Life as well as an answer. So you are on the same wavelength. Fishwater Down says, we're like Coil and Subspace right now. I'm really into fighting right now. Subspace. Wait, Coil and Subspace. Coil and Subspace. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I get what you're saying. You're into... Okay. You're switching your MO. You're into different games. For your new names. Okay, I thought for a sec you were talking that you were getting competitive in other stuff. I was like, oh, okay. No more Splatoon competition. Except for what you're on right now, because obviously your team's back. Lucy the Kyogre? Alright, Lucy the Kyogre, you can have the name. I will give you the... I will give you the honor. I'll do a quick encounter this time. Archer says, for a company that loves money, Nintendo seems to hate it by not making Tamagotchi Life 2. Or they want to do it right and they're giving it justice. Like, I'm always for remaking a game with a lot of extra content. Hey, Sea Salt, how are you doing? No salt here, fresh water only. Actually, Kyogre is a... Never mind, he's salt water. What am I talking about? Kyogre, it lives in the ocean. It commands the ocean, trust me. How funny would it be if this pool right here that you see, this pool right here, was fresh water? And the second Kyogre leaves and jumps in the ocean, it dies because it's swimming in salt water. Anticlimactic as possible, huh? Let's see. It's a Roblox game, but it's heavily influenced by B-Roxas. B-Roxas? Oh, you were... Okay, never mind. I see. By Splatoon. I see. When you said Roxas, you were... I'm like, are you just... we're mid-thought there, and then you went to... Oh, my God. How are you doing? Let's see. They better be doing it justice. Exactly. See, maybe they're just doing it justice. They're taking some time. Wizardtastic says maybe they are pushing for a Switch 2. Oh, yeah. So, anybody see the updates for the Switch 2, by the way? The stockholders meeting didn't say much, but they talked about the development of the Switch 2 based on the Switch. And what it revealed was that, yeah, they're definitely heavily using elements of the Switch to build the Switch 2, similar to the Wii into the Wii U. I would say it's probably pretty appropriate to be calling the successor a Switch 2. I think it's going to follow in the footsteps of the Switch heavily. We all assumed it. And the internet has been assuming that for like 5 years. But in reality, we didn't know for sure that the next console was going to be like the Switch. Now we have confirmation. And it's backwards compatible, by the way. The Switch 2 can play, or the... Yeah, we can call it Switch 2, it doesn't matter. The Switch 2 can play Switch games. So you got that on there too. Which means, if you want to dump your Switch and use that money to buy a Switch successor, that's an option, because you don't have to get rid of your games. You got the digital library and physical games will be compatible, so you're good to go. All right, fish out of water, you got to go. And Sea Salt, you're painting with me in the background. Hopefully I gave you something really, really nice to paint to, like screaming. I already told you guys I don't get that excited for shinies anymore. But now, what you painting? Actually, let's start with this. What canvas are you on? Are you using watercolors, solvent ink, and what you painting? Metroid Prime 4 on Switch 2 is going to be like I'm probably not going to have anything to do with Metroid on my channel just because I never have. Why would I do it now? Especially when I'm so far behind on Zelda that there's going to be a new console before I even pick up Breath of the Wild. But I will play it on my own time for sure. The new Switch should be called Switch U for meme purposes. What was, I've got a picture somewhere where I floated what the name of the next Switch will be. Next console, rather. And I predicted it officially. I can't remember, though. I took a screenshot of it. Ah, this coffee is excellent. I would say they reveal the Switch 2 into the fiscal year. So I'm guessing like late January, early January, somewhere in there. After Christmas. For sure after Christmas. If I got a full odds shiny legendary, you know dang well I'm letting out a nuclear scream. That's what happened when I was a kid. Dude, I'll never forget my mom thought something was wrong. She was like, oh my god, what is going on? I'm like, Mom, I got a shiny Lugia. Oh my god. And she was like, I have no idea what that means. Are you okay? It was pretty funny. I was young. I was very young when that happened. That was my first intentionally hunt shiny. And I didn't know, you know what, that's the other thing too, is nobody could decide what the odds were. I don't remember if I knew, I don't remember when I knew what the odds were. Maybe that's why I was okay shiny hunting it, because I didn't know how bad the odds were. I am not painting on a canvas in customizing a figure. Hold on, I would never be dumping my Switch. Well, I'm not saying I will, but there are people that trade in their old console for a new one. That does happen. Or sometimes they trade their console up, like a PS5 to a PS5 Pro, PS4 to a PS4 Pro. If you're trading in a PS4 to a PS5 Pro, that's a huge leap. But DS to a DSi, DS to a 3DS, you know what etc., etc., etc. Gotta play a full Pokemon game first. What are you talking about, fool? You played, I know for a fact you played Legends Arceus all the way through, right? Yeah, you played Sword and Shield to the end, as well as Scarlet and Violet, didn't you? Yeah, you completed those, I'm 99% sure. Which legendary should I hunt? I might do a shiny hunt. Wonder who I should hunt. All right, if you were going to hunt a shiny legendary, which I think you already did, didn't you? You got Giratina and Darkrai and BDSP. I'm going to say, what would Archo hunt? I feel like you should go after... Going through all the legendaries. Everything's shiny locked nowadays, so the new games are kind of shot. Thank you, Nintendo. Let's see. What would you hunt that is actually able to be hunted? I want to go back to the old games. All right. Let's say... I feel like you'd be a Heatran kind of guy. Remember Flint? Not Flint. That was the Elite Four guy. Remember the kid that caught Heatran? It seems like he'd be kind of a character you'd relate to. So I feel like a Heatran. And Heatran's a beast, man. Competitively, Heatran is a top tier Pokemon. Heatran is an absolutely a god tier Pokemon. Yeah, I would have thought, I thought you'd want to go with something that's nuclear heat, which is kind of weird that Groudon and Heatran kind of serve the same purpose, sort of. Obviously, Groudon is not just fire, it's like terraforming because it's ground and fire in its lore. But still, it's weird that Heatran kind of serves the same purpose Groudon does, and it's like I guess it's almost like, you know what it reminds me of? Heatran to Groudon is like how in Roman/Greek mythology there is a god of wind, and then there are minor gods, the east wind, the west wind, the north wind, and the south wind, where they are actually the same god powers, but they are secondary to the main god of wind. That kind of thing. It feels like Groudon is the god of fire, and Heatran is also a god of fire, but it's not at the same level Groudon is at. Even though... Well, I don't know about Primal Groudon. I think Primal Groudon was a beast too, but Heatran, dude, Heatran was a beast in competitive. I don't know about Primal Groudon. I've seen a lot of Primal Groudons. I don't know its strengths. but I do remember seeing it. So, Sceptile has one of the coolest shinies ever. I'll give you that. Wizardtastic says, I played Pokemon before, but never fully completed a game because I'm unmotivated. All right, so that's what we got going on here. Unmotivated to go to the finish. What I can say is if you are unmotivated to finish a game, a Pokemon game that is, there is a cure for you, Wizardtastic. There is a cure. The cure is called Pokemon Legends. Trust me. By the way, I have said it probably about 1,000 times now. There is a Pokemon game that has absolute perfection of graphics. Perfect graphics, okay? Doesn't have to be like on Unreal Engine. But in general, the graphics and the art and the styling of the models, everything is perfect. What game is it? I've said it before. You've heard me say it before. What game is it? Because they struck gold. For modern HD graphics, they struck gold for the models. Everything was perfect. Everything. What game was it? Sea Salt says, I'm not too motivated to finish Pokemon games. I get addicted to them so easily. So wait, oh, you are too motivated. I was like, what? If you're addicted, you're... Yeah, I get what you're saying. I have to finish what I start. A game would have to be terrible. Absolutely terrible for me not to finish it. Let alone a Pokemon game. There's no Pokemon game that I never finished. Gen 5, don't worry, I've seen Gen 5. I just haven't played Gen 5. But, hey, I promise I've got gears moving finally. Wizardtastic says, if I ever shiny hunt something that I could probably watch Subway Surfers or Family Guy in the background. 99% of my shiny hunts, I was doing homework. Makes me wonder if I ever soft reset over something and never noticed. I mean, I always say I've never failed a shiny, except in Sword. I had 2 shinies. Remember, that was around my birthday. I had a shiny... what was it? Dusclops. It was shiny Dusclops, and I was ready to take it, but in the same batch of the, what do they call it? Not Ultra Adventures, that's the anime. What did they call? Dynamax Adventures. In the same results for the Dynamax Adventures, I had 2 shinies, and they were full odds, by the way, no shiny charm. One was Dusclops, and I was fully prepared to take it, and then that freaking Alchemy was shiny, and I was like, oh my god. Raven just said that she hopes I got a shiny fairy, and I did! So I took the Alchemy. That was the only time I've ever, quote-unquote, failed a shiny, with a caveat that my very first video on my channel ever, on this channel, I failed a shiny because I didn't notice that the patch was shiny in a radar hunt. Other than that, I have never encountered a Pokemon and failed it. So, with that in mind, I don't remember why I made that point at all, to be honest. It says, oh, that's what it was. If I was doing homework and I soft reset over it, I'm living in ignorance because I never knew it was shiny. No, it's not Let's Go, in my opinion. This is my opinion, but Let's Go has excellent scaling of models. I agree. I liked it. But there's a game that has an immersive environment for Pokemon, and it has absolutely perfect models. Legends is close. Legends is very close to immersive, perfect models. But when it comes to the graphics, which I agree, Legends had great graphics. They did that on purpose, as it was supposed to be like completely different from normal. But there was a game that did modern graphics. Everything was immersive and perfect. There was no art styles going on. And that game was the new Pokemon Snap. The graphics were handled by Bandai Namco, and they struck gold. And I think every Pokemon game should have Bandai Namco do the art and the graphics and everything, the animation, all of that. Bandai Namco, they nailed it, dude. They nailed it. It was perfect. They showed they know how to make games, man. They freaking nailed it. Wizardtastic says, what Pokemon do you think I should shiny hunt if I ever have the motivation to do so? Let's see. What would you shiny hunt if I were Bear-tastic, Beach-astic, Wizard-tastic? What would you shiny hunt? Let's go. Let me think here. I gotta ponder it. I'm going through a lot of Pokemon right now. What would you shiny hunt? Lapras is probably a very high up on the list. I think you'd love a shiny Lapras, and it's the same color as what I'm hunting right now. Kyogre and Lapras have the same color palette. So Lapras is up there. Let's see. What else do I think you would enjoy? Or you read the whole Demon Slayer manga? Hey, Archo, craziest thing. Somebody gifted me the entire Demon Slayer manga is in the other room. I'm not kidding. I got it. And it's a wild story that I will save. I've got it over in the other room, dude. I've got all of it. I'm like, oh, yeah. And it's done. They finished writing it, so it's literally done. And I own it, dude. I've also got Shaman King. I need to work on that as well. I have not watched the Hashira arc yet. So I told Naya we will definitely go see the movie for it for when they get to Infinity Castle. So we're going to binge that hopefully soon. Let's see. I'm going to rob you, Nito. Sea Salt said I'm going to rob you. What's my favorite shiny? Sun and Moon. My favorite shiny ever is Darkrai. Darkrai is absolutely the coolest shiny. I love that thing. After Darkrai, I would say Giratina's up there, of course. And I would also say Dragalge. Dragalge, I love shiny Dragalge. Who else? Trying to go through. There's so many. Who else are some of my favorites? Dragonair is a good one, too. Real high up there. I gotta think. Rayquaza, of course. Dude, has anybody in this chat watched Pokemon Journeys? I haven't seen all of it, so don't spoil it if there's anything amazing coming up. I'm impressed with it so far. But has anybody seen it? Let's see. Watch it, man. The last episode is great. I still think the best arc is the entertainment arc. It felt very classic anime. We'll put it that way. The entertainment arc felt very classic anime, where certain tropes always happen. And they are not always... put it this way. They were marketed to teen males, and they succeeded very, very well. Back when I was a teen. Some of it. Journeys is... I'm going to spoil Journeys really quickly. I won't talk about it too much. But it happens in like the 4th or 5th episode. So here we go. If you are interested in watching Liko and Roy and Pokemon Journeys with Captain Pikachu, this is your spoiler warning. 3, 2, 1. There is a black Rayquaza in Pokemon Journeys. Oh, dude, one of the sickest shinies on the planet. Absolutely. It'll never replace Darkrai for me. Rayquaza never would, but Rayquaza has a sick shiny. Gardevoir and Gallade, for that matter. Excellent shinies. I put those up there too. I think those are some of my favorites. The copious amount of yes, and it's not just that either. There's always shots of the camera from a low perspective. You know what I'm saying. All right, Kyogre, what do you got? I waited like 4 minutes. I was running my mouth, and I never even did an encounter. Kyogre, you're still blue. Dubba-dee-dubba-die. The Tenjin and the Yutaro fight was the best part, though. I will give you that for sure. Demon Slayer fights have a really odd way of being extremely Dragon Ball Z-esque in terms of they drag on and on and on, but I never get bored. I am hooked from start to end. Still searching for my jaw after episode 10. Oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait. Plus, being able to see Demon Slayer at the movie theater, I'm spoiled in those regards. Enjoy the stream. Thank you very much, Raven. I will not only enjoy the stream, but maybe I will even get a moment. A stream moment. I also have two cats that are behind me that appear to have decided to. They appear to have decided to brawl. So I will. You know what? Let them go. They gotta. They're not fighting because they're angry at each other. So as long as they're not like screaming or meowing, then everything is tame. So I'll let them go. They're using the couch as a ring. Not really sure what they're doing now, but they're good. They're good. Right, boys? Yep, they're good. Oh, dude, you know what? I'm gonna suggest I'm gonna get on that. Like, maybe I'll even do it around Thanksgiving. In America, anyways. American Thanksgiving is coming up. Canadian Thanksgiving just happened a month ago, and if you're from the UK, I don't know when anybody else's Thanksgiving. I don't even know if you have truly Thanksgiving, because I know that not everybody calls it Thanksgiving. There's other names for it. Same premise, but I'm not cultured enough to know everywhere's Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, speaking of which, you said Bandai Namco made Tales of Arise, so you trust them? I trust them as well, because dude, Bandai Namco is on it. They're one of my favorite game companies for sure. Oh, dude, there's a really funny game that just came out. I might have to get in on it. Let me read your comments and then I'll explain. Genuinely, it felt so good. The last 3 to 4 minute segments of the fight just amazing. And Tenjin is voiced by, legendary Ray Chase. I remember we talked about that at when that was happening. And I talked about how I was like, I can't believe Alphen, Noctis, and even Tenjin are all voiced by Ray Chase. I was like, this guy's taking the planet over. He's like the early 90s or the late 90s early 2000s voice actors where they were in, you heard them everywhere you went. They owned anime and video games. That's what Ray Chase is doing. He's picking up crazy roles left and right. He voices Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen, which you've advised me to watch several times. I need to get on that. As for manga, I need to read. Definitely at some point want to finish Shaman King, because I have the manga behind me for Shaman King, and I read a little bit of it, but I have not gotten far in it. And Shaman King's always been just a fun one. It's not too. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, it can be pretty serious. By the way, I'm not going to go into I'm not going to go to like freaking midnight, so just a heads up on everybody. Just in case you think I'm going forever tonight. Don't worry. I'm not going into the wee hours of the morning. So what's the game I mentioned? What's that game? Oh, right, duh. Dude, losing it. I'm telling you, I'm spending too much time at work doing too much hard thinking. It literally burns my brain into crisps. There is a game that came out. Bandai Namco created it. It revolves around my favorite anime ever. And I liked this anime, loved this anime, before it was super common to love this anime. And that was Death Note. Death Note is my favorite anime. And they made a game called Death Note: The Killer Within. I want you to imagine this. It is basically Among Us, except somebody's got a death note, and you can write other players' names in your death note. And you've got investigators investigating, figuring out who owns the death note. And it's like, oh, it's so funny. I got to see more gameplay of it. Dude, I might have to get in on playing that game. It looks so comical. I'm like, I had no idea when they first announced it how this game was going to work. And then when I realized that you're basically investigating each other. You have players that are investigating each other in the attempts to catch the killer, and you have killers with death notes investigating to see who's on the task force, where they're at, that kind of thing, and get their name so you can write their name down. Dude, it is flawless. It's such a quirky game, and yet somehow it works so well. Everybody that has already reviewed it loves it. Do I prefer the manga or the anime ending to Death Note? Ah, you are asking the tough questions, my friend. So, I can say that the manga was better on the second half because they had the time to go into detail. That's not entirely fair to the anime because when you get told you have funding for a certain amount of episodes, things got to get cut. And Whammy's house and Matt and the girl that drew the picture of Mello all basically got cut. Matt had 2 seconds of screen time. In fact, you should have seen, dude. I look like Matt from that anime without smoking a cigarette. But I mean, when I was in high school, my friends used to say I looked just like him. They wanted me to cosplay him. I never did because I had his hair and I had a muscle car just like he did. And it was like, oh my God, you're just like him. Well, I had a friend that, it was a really weird dynamic how I think she wished that I would like go into character and stay in character because she loved the character so much, she wished I was the character IRL. And I didn't realize how common that was, that people were crazy for that guy. And he had like a minute of screen time, dude. It was a wild minute. It was the wildest ride of anybody's life for 60 seconds. But yeah, his whole story got cut from the anime. As for the ending, yeah, I guess the manga. I'm not saying that reluctantly necessarily. It's hard to pick. They're not that different, but Light, and I'm just in case anybody's listening, I'm not going to spoil it. Light and a few other people had a lot of dignity that I think was there were vulnerabilities in the anime that didn't exist in the manga. Put it that way. Sea Salt says, speaking of games that need a reboot, Okami 2. Oh man, I feel bad that I haven't played Okami as part of our series yet. Naya and I, we just keep not getting time to record. I feel bad. We're never going to finish Zelda. People are going to move on from my channel by the time we finish that series. I swear. Either way, Okami was supposed to be on the list after we got through. We were going to do Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, possibly. Yeah, I have no reason why I wouldn't do Skyward Sword. And then we were going to move into Okami and then come back and do... and then we were going to do Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So, as you can see, I'm pretty much a mess. I don't have my shit together at all. But the anime is easy to meme. I'll give you that, dude. It's... there were some scenes from the anime. They did... What was it called? They made the anime into a movie where they basically rewrote some lines, reanimated a few scenes, and then they took 32 episodes of the anime and squished it into a movie. And it was called like Relighted or something like that. And there were some things. It was basically like an HD version of the original anime as is. And oh my God, they went crazy on it. I can't laugh yet. I gotta hold it in. Clip is so funny. Dude, they did that on purpose to try and make him even more sadistic. They didn't want you to have any sympathy for him. Well, I'm trying not to meme. They wanted that series to be, you're in question. Who the hell is the bad guy again? And you're supposed to be on the fence, but then they made sure Light looked like a psycho. He wasn't just doing this for the betterment of the Earth. He also was trying to be a god and have a god complex, so you couldn't sympathize with him. But if you took away some of the sadistic pieces from the concept, you were kind of like, so which side's the bad guy again? It has been years. I know. We're losing our minds. We're not able to keep up on the schedule that we committed to, that's for sure. Yeah, have you ever seen Elle's funeral scene, Archo? That is a wild clip. Light's voice actor just decided to go absolutely crazy. Yeah, the manga definitely does that. I'll give you that. the manga. Not only that, but the manga being in black and white. Oh man, that manga is unmatched. That manga is legendary. They ripped the clip from his laugh in the last episode. I was thinking it, but I did not say it. But you've definitely proven to me a lot by knowing that fact, my friend. That's one of the more hardcore facts. So props. In fact, in that scene, and that I think that was the Relighted movie as well. They cut the part where he's walking past a mirror and half of his face is normal, the mask, if you will, and half of it is Kira, and they cut that. But one of the things they cut to is actually hinting at the original idea of the ending was there was no Nier and there was no Mellow, so they actually in the Relighted thing they cut to Ryuk actually starting to get his death note out at the end of that point where he says, I'm going to recreate the world, and it's kind of hinted that Ryuk is like, okay, well, it sounds nice, and I appreciate your efforts, but, I'm going to be bored at this point. It's just going to be you won, but you winning also means that now I'm tired of you, so goodbye. And that was hinted at in the Relighted thing. They hinted at that being what the original ending was going to be. Yeah, I loved how they did no music track, too. When they did that scene where he laughs and then he says, you're right, I am Kira. No music. Just the sounds of a rusty old fan in a warehouse because everyone was just like, oh, shit. He just said it. It gives you that actual IRL feeling where people are in shock after hearing something crazy like that. Yeah, they did really well with that. Do I want another cup of coffee? I think I want to go get another cup of coffee, actually. I think that might be on the list here. That might be something I'm interested in. Do I drink too much coffee? The answer is, you damn well know I do. Light's laughing at... Oh, dude, it is an example of vocal talent at its highest level. That is absolutely the, epitome of somebody giving it their all in the booth. I would say that when it came to greatest laughs of all time, Mark Hamill usually was at the top of the list every single time until that point happened. It didn't get cut. Yeah, they didn't do that scene when they were actually doing the anime. It was part of a movie called Relighted. So that scene didn't come from the base anime. It was never in the anime. They animated that after they did the Relighted thing. Unless I'm completely wrong, I can't remember everything, but I'm pretty sure I remember this correctly. Man, Danganronpa. I feel bad that Naya and I actually did stream that for a little while, and we just lost track of everything and didn't get back to it. It was pretty funny, though. I felt weird. Danganronpa's rhythm game thing is so out of place. I still don't understand why it's got that. But, because I really did feel like, I was like, oh, this game, I see why everybody loves it. And then when they did the rhythm thing, I'm like, what? Why are we doing a rhythm game? I'm like, you kind of buzz-killed it for me on that one, but... no, either way though, yeah, Danganronpa had me hooked, man. It had me hooked pretty hard. Someday I'll get back to it. I just don't think I'll stream it. Unless I do, who knows? We streamed Man of Medan. Can I let a little secret out of the bag? I've got a deep, dark secret nah, I can't say that. I shouldn't say that. Never mind, we'll let that secret go somewhere else. I won't say it on YouTube. All I can tell you is that Man of Medan stream that we did had something funny going on behind the scenes. So, but we always thought maybe we would get back to the Dark Pictures anthology, and I never did. I bought all the games on day one. They're all behind me. I have all of them. And the Quarry as well, which is not technically part of the Dark Pictures anthology, but still, regardless, It's same studio. I have all of that, and I have till this day not played it. Backlog! Yeah, gonna take that backlog to my grave. When I bequeath my shiny hunt for Cresselia to somebody upon my death, I may also send the backlog to somebody. Like, I'll just mail somebody all the games and be like, play these in my honor. I don't know the ending. I don't know the ending of Danganronpa because I didn't get very far in 1. I never played 2. Except for the dude that I can't remember. He gets really out of shape in the second game because Pegasus Angel memed about that a lot when she was like, "Oh, this is my husband. This is my husband." And then when he gets really out of shape, she goes, "That's okay. I still love him anyways, no matter what shape he is." But she was disappointed he got fat. I was like, "Hey, it happens. Life is rough, buddy. It happens." All right, I will be right back. I'm going to pour some coffee. I'll be right back. All right. Let's see. The fandom is on the wrong side of crazy, too, which I would say, with the exception of maybe a few people in my life that had very attractive personalities and bodies, very rarely is anybody in a fandom not crazy. Fandom is synonymous with crazy. Usually in a bad way. All right. Does anybody remember this? Trivia question for you and any lurker out there, Archo. Anybody that's lurking. I see the number of lurkers out there. Don't worry. I'm calling you out just to let you know that I acknowledge your presence. I'm not calling you out because you have to chat. But think to yourself. Trivia question. In talking English anime, Pokemon, who said not Kyogre and Groudon, but Kyogre and Groudon? Who made the famous mishap of calling them Kyogre and Groudon? Which, to be fair, I could almost see where Kyogre makes sense. Because Kyogre, obviously... Kyogre is Water Ogre. And Groudon... That makes no sense. I don't know how they botched that one. Kyogre, I somewhat get it. I give a small pass for that. It's like, okay, I kind of get that. But Groudon is Groudon? Nah, you're lost. Nope. It was, ready for this one? It was the guy that sang the Poke Rap. So in the new generation Poke Rap in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, the anime, which I think they just called it Pokemon Adventures, if I remember correctly. And no, it wasn't. Pokemon Advance, I think, is what it was. Pokemon Advance. The new Poke Rap that was Gen 1, 2, and 3, the rapper called it Kyogre and Groudon. In the English anime only, they had the Poke Rap. The first one was part of that collection, that disc collection called To Be a Master. It was done by 4Kids back when 4Kids would like absolutely nail it when it came to theme songs and music. To Be a Master was the name of that collection of all of the soundtracks. In fact, in Pokemon Puzzle League, they used the soundtrack of To Be a Master. Fun fact for you. But then by the time that Gen 3 rolled around, they didn't do it with 4Kids anymore. So, by the way, when they did it, the dubbing company decided we aren't going to look up what Pokemon are actually named. We're just going to go for it. Kyogre and Groudon were the results of that. They did not know how to say Kyogre and Groudon. The one thing I remember about the Pokemon anime was how much of a menace Ash was. Not only was he a menace and very insulting, but they would break the fourth wall, and like the dub was going rogue compared to the Japanese source material. They were going rogue like crazy, and it was kind of a thing of beauty, to be honest. It was glorious. Hang on one second. I need to plug in my phone. Give me one sec. I just realized. I was just talking about this with somebody, was Ivanus, in fact. Is they let's see, the infamous ghost story dub, but more toned down. Are you talking about the point where she holds a cross against a Ghastly? We were talking about how Pokemon hasn't really actually toned anything down. Other than the comedy aspect of it, like Ash. So, Ash wasn't as comical in his later years. But, yeah, wait, hold on. I'm going to see. What are you talking about? If you're going what to, wait. If this is in regards to Misty fighting Ghastly with Jesus? You don't know the Ghost Story dub. Which one are we talking? Are we talking like Pokemon Generations? That Ghost Story? Because that one's sweet. I love it. Pokemon Generations is a great series. And if anybody out there if you hear my words, Pokemon has published Pokemon Generations, the animated series. It's an 18 episodes thing, and it is on YouTube by the Pokemon channel, like the official channel. Go see it. It is amazing. The Ghost Story dub. Oh, sorry, not Pokemon. Sorry, I misunderstood this. The Ghost Story dub. I do not know what you're talking about. I guess I'll have to look it up really quickly here. But, yeah, it's Pokemon. Before I let this point go, you type your story and I'll tell mine while you're typing. So, Pokemon has not toned anything down. Pokemon used to have, like, in the first anime, season like 1 and 2, Team Rocket literally robbed a guy and put a gun to his head. That got censored, by the way. And Meowth had a Tommy gun while he was dressed like a mob boss. That got censored. As well as they robbed a store at one point, and I think Gary was in that store. And they robbed it with a rocket launcher. That didn't get censored. James put on, well, he cross-dressed a lot, but he put on, like, fake memories. And that got censored. But that was, like, the highlights of censorship in the original anime. That is not where it ended, though. Gen 4, for instance, Hunter J was a character that she would illegally hunt Pokemon. She was contracted by Team Galactic. Azelf? No, Mesprit. Sorry, it was Mesprit. Mesprit, the Lake Spirit Pokemon. Mesprit murdered her on screen, man. She got canned right there on screen death. And that was a later, you know, that was like late 2000s. That was a Gen 4 moment. Cynthia, or actually first, Team Galactic decided, let's not fight Dawn in a Pokemon battle. Let's just handcuff her and throw her in the back of a van and kidnap her and drive her off. We don't need this Pokemon battle crap, right? That was a pretty unhinged thing. How does Cynthia respond to that? She has her Garchomp put his talon claw things at the throat of a grunt for Team Galactic. She literally said, do it and I'll cut your throat. That was in Pokemon, by the way. Yes, I'm still talking Pokemon. So, they were unhinged back then. Fast forward to XY. In XY, Lysander, on-screen death, murdered, right there. Everybody watched him literally vaporize into dust. He died. In the movie The Power of One, Luxray traumatized us, dude. Sun and Moon, trauma left and right. We watched a Pokemon die on screen, as well as in Pokemon Sun and Moon, Mallow's dead mother that died of like cancer is brought back as a fog memory to Mallow by Tapu Lele. And Mallow realizes she never got to say goodbye to her mother, and so they finally get to say goodbye to each other, and it's like, it's traumatic. I'm like, okay, Pokemon has always been unhinged. It wasn't just something that faded away 20 years. If anything, it's gone up and up and up. The first example ever was definitely Mewtwo. Mewtwo murdered 20 scientists or so in cold blood. And rightfully so, because that was the most famous line ever, was, we dreamed of creating the world's strongest Pokemon, and we succeeded. And then Mewtwo killed all of them. He went Vader Hallway on them. He literally just killed every one of them mercilessly. So yes, they were unhinged back then, but they didn't stop being unhinged. Things stayed unhinged. Archo says, the ghost story. Here we go. So there was this manga called Ghost Story. It did pretty well in Japan. They adapted it to an anime, and it was meh. So when the dub team was brought in, they told them the following. Do whatever you want, just make it entertaining. What this resulted in was the wildest dubs ever. I can't say most of the jokes, but they went all out with the humor. It was said that whoever got to the studio first decided the theme for the episode. Think of the wildest joke you can think of. I promise you that Ghost Story dub can top it. Oh my god. I will have to look up some cutscenes. I will legitimately look this up. I'm curious. Everybody out there who is lurking, and Archo yourself who is chatting a lot, if you guys left a like on the stream, seriously, thank you for doing that. I do appreciate that. You guys took the time to tell me that you like the stream. I take the time to thank you for doing it. And you're still blue. Dabba dee dabba die, Kyogre. You have a few saved? Oh, dude, I gotta see this. Absolutely gotta see this. Let me double check Discord here just for 1 second. Okay, just making sure that I got this. I wanted to make sure that I posted everything correctly. We're all good. Ah, Kyogre. What a pleasure to be hunting you again. This feels so right. I mean, this DS, I'm using an original, by the way. I don't have a camera, you can't see. I am using the original silver Nintendo DS. That might be what I did this hunt on. I can't remember, honestly. I never did shiny hunts on my Game Boy Advance SP. I always did them on my Game Boy Advance because the buttons were thicker, and I wanted the SP to be in tip-top shape all the time. And I didn't want to wear it down by resetting all the time. So plus not only that, the start button was easier. The start select button were right next to AB, so it was pretty easy to soft reset those. But I don't remember. I might have done this on a DS. But it feels so right, Kyogre. Kyogre, I'm going to do a quick test with you. I just want to see a couple of earthquakes to make sure. I know that I did this very meticulously, making sure that Swampert was not over-leveled, and that its Earthquake would kill you if it crits. But when are you not on the edge of life and the most thrilled when one crit can cause you a catastrophe, right? So your Earthquake should never kill Kyogre. I'm just double-checking that. It should always stop. Actually, it does less than I hope. I wanted it down into red all the time, so... You'll genuinely think that it's an abridged, but I promise it's the actual anime. No, I could definitely believe that. It's weird, like... I get the idea behind an abridged anime, but I can't understand how there's people that... When somebody makes an abridged series, the idea is that it's comedic. There are people out there that will legitimately say that you should just watch the abridged version instead of the dub for things. I've heard this for like Dragon Ball Z. I'm like, are you insane? Why would you watch the comedic version of some YouTuber's fan project instead of the actual thing when it's your first watch through? Are you insane? What is wrong with you? Their definition of comedy is very skewed. Never understood that. Whatever joke you have in mind, it's 100 times worse. Oh, man. Dragon Ball Z abridged is funnier if you've already seen regular Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball? Are you saying like the original, very, very, very first series Dragon Ball, and then go into Dragon Ball Z abridged and never watch the regular Dragon Ball Z? Or are you saying you watch Dragon Ball Z, the regular, and then watch the abridged? Because the second version of that is the one that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. You gotta see the original version before you can go and have a good laugh about the abridged version. I cannot imagine people that would actually watch abridged as their first watch through. Why would you do that? That's asinine. I mean, unless you just don't care about enjoying it, but it's a comedy sketch. It's not the actual series. So why do that? I have no idea why people would do that. But still, it sometimes gets me when I realize, man, I remember when people were doing the abridged series for like, there was one going around for Pokemon, one for Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball Z, you know, some of the popular anime. It's amazing to think that those guys probably got rich off of that, to be honest. They made it big off of that. Like, all those series are super popular now. I'm like, huh, when it was happening, it just sounded like a funny thing some people were doing, you know, and it made millionaires out of it. Well, maybe not millionaires, but you get my point. They made their careers off of it. Alright, Kyogre, I think I've given you enough time. Here we go. I've seen Dragon Ball Z abridged. It's really, really funny. Yeah, I was going to say, I remember a lot of people were invested in it at the time that it was coming out. And it's old. I mean, and that's the thing is, I'm sure there's probably a few renditions of it. I'm sure that, that there's not just one Dragon Ball Z abridged, but the main one, I know that that was very popular at the time it was getting made, but I never imagined it would turn into something that's like massive. You almost wonder how they're able to. Well, maybe they don't. I was gonna say, how do they make money off of it? But maybe they don't, because at a certain point, where does fair use end? And copyright law is a mess. But to be fair, if you're overdubbing something, I think fair use is always in play. The one by Team 4 Star has over 10 million views on each episode. Yeah, so I don't know who that is, but I can tell you one thing: those Team 4 Star, I'm assuming there's four of them, right? They probably had their careers made by that. I mean, unless they did, maybe they didn't do anything after that. Maybe they didn't monetize it, whatever. But I guarantee at 10 million views an episode, and there's how many episodes of Dragon Ball Z? They made their entire career off of that. Oh, it's named after the 4 Star Dragon Ball. Okay, I thought it was like a humorous comedy thing. Like, we're not 5 star people, but we'll get close. We're 4 star. No, 4 Star Dragon Ball. That makes sense. You know what's weird is I've seen scenes of Dragon Ball Super. Sometimes that actually seems like it's an abridged series, even though it's official. Like the way Vegeta talks to Beerus, half the time I thought it was a fan clip. I'm like, that's not real, and I had to check and see if it was real. Dragon Ball Super, I have not been a fan, or not a fan, I shouldn't say. I haven't kept up with Dragon Ball in since I was a teenager. I mean, every teenage boy played Dragon Ball Z and watched Dragon Ball Z. I mean, it's a rite of passage in the world of anime. But I have not kept up with Super. But I watched the tournament, and like I say, it was not exactly, I shouldn't say predictable. It's just old school anime was all about tournaments, so it was very refreshing. Like, oh, going back to the old school, man, where every anime had to have a tournament going on, and it was like, dude, it could be everything from mainstream, like Dragon Ball Z tournament, Yu Yu Hakusho tournament, to something like Kid Muscle, where it was like something that was barely known, and somehow they're back in a tournament. Like, tournaments were everything in old school anime, and in those regards, it was cool to see them go back into tournament, and I thought they did that very well. Actually, I was pretty impressed by the whole thing, especially some of the sneakier things, like the whole Jiren thing with Android 17. Like I say, I'm not invested in Dragon Ball Z, but I was really happy to see that Android 17 was like a badass now. I'm like, you know what? I don't know why they decided to just make this character a badass all of a sudden, but I'm on board. I'm 100% on board. I approve. That is Nito approved. I like that decision. I also like the decision that we finally got to see Vegeta get a little revenge on Frieza. Waited since I was a kid for that one. Sort of, sort of. I've seen the clip on that. No spoilers. Not that I think that... you never know who accidentally runs into a spoiler and then they're like, man, this stupid Pokemon hunter just spoiled something for me. But, yeah, to me it was just something I needed to see. As an adult that never got that moment, you know? It's one of those things where you're like, man, it's like Ash versus Giovanni in Pokemon. I never got that. They never gave it to me. Ash and Giovanni met up in the anime exactly one time. We never got a true showdown with Ash versus Giovanni. I feel like I was denied that. And I don't like being denied that for everything, you know? Archo says, I don't like how they spend ages talking and they let their enemies charge up. Yeah, that was always the trope, though. They can't break that trope now. The whole trope is screaming and powering up, and everybody lets them do it. Avatar: The Last Airbender, actually, they literally have a meme built on that, where you're either in a world of Dragon Ball Z where you politely let your opponent charge up, or you're in a world of Avatar: The Last Airbender where charging up gets you killed because you're open. Nobody ever takes a shot when their opponent's open in Dragon Ball Z. Jujutsu Kaisen. If you do that in Jujutsu Kaisen, you're done for. I will definitely make sure I watch that. You know what had one of the coolest action sequences? As unreal as it can possibly be, there was a really great anime for great action sequences. To an extent, I almost feel like Demon Slayer touches on that because it's built on solid foundation of actual fighting, but then it gets ridiculous very quickly. And that was Samurai Champloo. Samurai Champloo had excellent action sequences that started out using real techniques. Not Mugen. Mugen was literally the opposite of that. But still, a lot of them had real techniques that they used the correct way. But very quickly it would break down into like over-the-top stuff that doesn't actually get done. But yeah, Samurai Champloo was excellent for doing quick action sequences that it was like, oh man, that was incredibly intense. Like I say, Demon Slayer's got that going on at the core, where at the foundation of Demon Slayer, they are using samurai technique very often, where their weapons are being handled correctly before they get into like using the sword styles and such, using water style, lightning style, all that stuff. Before they get into that, they always start with a solid foundation that would, seem like you're actually fighting, not using crazy non-existent magic techniques. Alrighty, Kyogre. I think 9 o'clock. I'll go. I'll go a little bit more, and then I'll call it here. Let me finish up this cup of coffee, and maybe go for 20 more minutes, and then I'll call it for the night. It was originally I said I was gonna do a side order run, but I was like, you know what? I am a shiny hunter through and through. I should definitely stream some shiny hunting. I need to do that more, in fact, because it's starting to look like my channel is nothing but Splatoon, and it was built for shiny hunting. Just like my first channel was back in the day. Breathing styles are cool, though. Yeah, they do it very gracefully. It's like the power scaling in Demon Slayer is done very eloquently, so I'm not... It's the opposite of Dragon Ball Z. I'm never thinking, wait, how is this guy 20 times more powerful than the last guy? And it's just because they go through all of this effort to build up their strength to beat this guy, and then when they introduce a new enemy, that new enemy has to be stronger or it doesn't make any sense. They just walk over him. So then they power scale him completely wrong. Bleach was guilty of this too. Bleach was very guilty of this, where every new bad guy eclipses the last bad guy, and they have to use some super secret training technique to quickly get up to that level just so that the next bad guy can eclipse this guy. And the power scaling was very hard to ignore. But in Demon Slayer, the power scaling is handled very well. I am very impressed with it. Jujutsu Kaisen has decent power scaling. And that's the other thing, is you don't have to have perfect, like, everything is power scaled perfectly to where it's like you are being completely consistent, like all across the board. You can't have any fun with it because you're making sure it's all consistent. That is not necessary. It's just the power scaling's got to make more sense than just this is the new bad guy and he makes the old bad guy look like a child. All right, well, we got to power up. How do we do it? Some crazy hacks. All right, but now the new bad guy's even more powerful than that. It's hard to follow that sometimes. It's like, I'm not convinced. Although there's two characters that can solo the entire verse easily. Well, that's the other thing, too, is it's weird when you have somebody that's, like, so overpowered and that you can almost feel that the writers of it are fans of their own characters. So they just say, you're OP now because you're my favorite character I drew up, and I'm never going to let you fall. So, yeah, this guy's just super broken. He's awesome, and the universe cowers before him, and there's no exceptions. End of story. It's like, no, that's not really good writing. You're falling in love with your own character. Uh-oh. I got a cat running around here. Hang on one second. My cat knocked something over. All right, there we go. Leagues above everybody else. Yeah, and I'm not entirely a fan of that. I mean, that's where I guess I like Demon Slayer is that the power scaling has established the Hashira are much stronger than Tenjiro, but he's working on it and he's closing the gap, you know. So it's like that's where I like the power scaling. And the demons are obviously super powerful, and that the Hashira are questionably like we know that obviously there's the top, and even then we're unsure of how powerful that means. But at the same time, you can tell that the power scaling is like, okay, we've established this guy is badass and untouchable. And then the first thing they do is, but what if you gave it a shot? And then you're thinking there's no chance in hell. They're not going to just kill off one of their favorite characters that they drew up. What they're going to do is like the character escapes, like the Mugen Train, where he just, yeah, we'll let him get away, you know? And he was evenly matched with Rengoku, but that's all right. We'll just let him get the win in the end, and then he runs away. And then the next few arcs, the power scaling catches up. You're watching the baddest of the bad die. And it's like, hey, this is believable. I'm immersed. You know, I don't have to go, oh, come on. They just yelled really loud, or they decided to go into a chamber where time stops, and then they trained up for 50 years, but no time actually passed in the real world. And ta-da, you know, it's, yeah, or like Ichigo in Bleach, where you do these crazy training exercises where you'll either triple your power in 4 days or you'll die trying. And it's like, okay, you just wrote yourself into a corner is what really happened. Even Sephiroth was not untouchable. Let's see. You said, I think you'll have to wait and see what they do with such overpowered characters when I finally get to that. Literally untouchable. Yeah, and there's ways to do it. I'll give it a chance and see what happens here, because I'm sure by the sounds of it that they have found a way to do that, because that happens. I mean, well, I mean, look at Star Wars. Star Wars is a great example. Is they spent 9 movies establishing no one's more powerful than the Emperor. And then they spent side series. No one can touch the Emperor. He is the top of the top of the top. The only way you kill him was with a sneak attack, which is what happened. Well, sort of, until 9 happened. We don't talk about that, though. And they spend all that time power scaling, where they say it doesn't matter how good you get, doesn't matter how powerful you get, doesn't matter how much you train, you'll never touch the Emperor. End of story. And Star Wars has built the largest franchise on Earth. Well, not anymore, actually. Pokemon dethroned it. Either way, Star Wars has built formerly the largest franchise on Earth on that premise that no matter how powerful you get, every story that's written, at the end of the day, you cannot fight the Emperor. He's more powerful than everybody. End of story. So, and they made it work. You know, it's they made it work up to a certain point anyways. So it's not like you can't have that character that's just OP and that's the end of the story. But it is hard to pull off. And I to be fair, I think Dragon Ball Z, you really got to suspend all disbelief. Yeah, so Yoda can fight him, but that's the thing. They were very careful to show that Yoda never beat him. So it was like, and even then, when they were fighting, it was very physical. And in the Clone Wars, they have a mental fight. Same thing. Yoda doesn't win. He just doesn't lose. So they said even the top Jedi were going to make evenly matched at best. But then one of them dies of old age, Yoda, and the other one uses his dark power to find immortality, which makes sense. Honestly, I have no problems with that. Besides that, it was written before it was in the movies. I just think they didn't execute it very well. But either way, that stands to reason, but it's still at the end, because it's a very logical argument, is nobody beats the Emperor, including the fact that when you kill him, he still does not die. And that power scaling mostly was done effectively. I think that they did screw up in the ninth movie with it, but that's my opinion, and I think many share that opinion for obvious reasons. The overpowered one in Jujutsu Kaisen is one of the good guys. And that's usually, that's something they like to do for sure, is like, the overpowered one is usually like the guru of all the good guys. That kind of thing. But like I say, done elaborately, it can be done well. And there's just a lot of anime, especially the older anime, that did not do it very well. And it was like, it was kind of hard to believe it a lot of the times. Creates a weird issue where if in Gojo if Gojo were there, he could just solve the whole thing instantly. But I think it works. And that's the thing too, is you got to be careful about that, is because it's like, when you have a character that's like that, the writers often make that mistake of like figuring out any way they can to make sure that the character's not there, because it's a giant plot hole if they were there. A good example of this is Justice League. Pretty much anything that involves Marvel superheroes, DC superheroes, 90% of it, you just got to sit there and ask, if Superman was here, couldn't he just fix this whole thing in 2 seconds? Because Superman is so OP that he's not really written very well half the time. It's just, hey, here's Superman. He's more powerful than everybody. If not for Darkseid, he'd be unmatched. He'd be untouchable. So that's a great example. Superman is a great example of sometimes your power scaling can break the whole thing, because you gotta tell yourself, he's busy doing something else, so I can enjoy this story. But if he was here, he could fix this whole mess in 2 seconds. But yeah, there's a lot of series. Like I say, Demon Slayer, I think, did an excellent job with it. All right, cup of coffee here, about halfway through. I'm at 9:09. I'd say we can go 10 to 15 more minutes, and then I'll go ahead and call it a stream. Kyogre, it has been so good to hunt back in Gen 3 on a stream on a Thursday night, just relaxing and having some great conversations. Dude, this is like, you know, there's on Twitch, there's a lot of just chatting category streams, and it's like, nah, a shiny hunting stream like this eclipses that category all day, man. This is the way to do it. This is the way we sit back and just like, how's your week going? How's your month going? And what anime are you working on? What games are you working on? That kind of stuff. God, this is just like the chillest stream in the world. And then eventually stuff goes down and it's not chill anymore. In this case, it didn't happen yet, but don't worry, Kyogre. You'll shine. And then when you do, it won't be chill anymore. It'll be complete chaos. Rayquaza is going to be the fun one, going in without a Master Ball. I didn't want to, like, just do it. I didn't want to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going in without a Master Ball. But let's be honest, okay? If I go in without a Master Ball, and I'm going to record it, if I fail, at the end of the day, I can pull the recording and just count how many seconds from the boot up of the game to the encounter engagement, how many seconds elapsed. Then I just do the same encounter again, and I'll find that Rayquaza every time. So even if I were to fail it, it's not even truly a permanent fail, because I have the seed marked at that point, so I can just encounter shiny Rayquaza every time. So there's not a whole lot of risk, technically. Same thing here with Kyogre, except Kyogre is going to be no problem. It's literally Earthquake, Thunderwave, ball, 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 until done. Well, some I mentioned before is that I want to make a manga one day. Currently working on learning how to draw while coming up with random ideas. Dude, pursue the passion. I promise you, you will reward yourself someday. 100%. That'd be amazing. Doesn't even have to necessarily be a manga, too. But pursue that passion of coming up with those ideas and acting on them. That's the biggest thing, is acting on them. There are so many people that talk themselves out of attempting it. And it's like, dude, go for it. See what happens. Dare to ask, what can you create, you know? It ain't cringy. It's just reality. Just like this cup of coffee, man. This is a good cup of coffee. And I created that cup of coffee. A bit of a mixologist there. I mean, I brewed the coffee, I didn't make the grounds, and I didn't grow the plants, and I didn't make the creamer, but I did combine the coffee with the creamer, and what came out was amazing, so good for me. Pat myself on the back. The funny part about this is I didn't set it up. The overlay has to happen, which for a shiny hunting stream, the overlay makes a lot of sense. To stay on it all from start to end of the stream. But I can't actually full screen this if I wanted to. Give this one a quick encounter. One character I want to add. Short girl who wears a huge varsity jacket, sunglasses, and wields a guitar that can change shape and do things differently depending on how she strums it, and royalty for no reason at all. There is actually kind of a fun thing. That's the kind of stuff you want to write down, dude. Don't let that go. Write that down to make sure you never forget, man. Sketch it, then do a version 2, version 3. I'm telling you, hang on to every idea. You never know when the one is going to come. But the final rendition, you know, you might amaze yourself even. But one thing I can say is DC is very guilty of this. I can't stand how in DC, and I kind of understand why they do this, every character has to have epic backstories. Like, nobody can come from nothing. You have to be royalty and not know it, or a god and not know it, because they do it because the idea is that all their superheroes are all super buff, in shape, and the old school way to do Marvel or DC was that heroes are heroes. There are no flaws. And they shed that mentality a long time ago. But they still kind of have that, like, characters have to be hyper interesting. You cannot have somebody just come from nothing, you know? If they come from nothing, they're a bad guy. If they are secretly royalty, a great example of that is Terra in Teen Titans. Terra has no backstory in Teen Titans. She just ended up running away because of her powers, her inability to control those powers. And the next thing you know, she finds the Teen Titans. And then she gets manipulated, and the rest is history. But then the comics have to go and go, oh, you know what? So it turns out she's actually a princess. She just didn't know it. She forgot. And it was like, what did you have to do that? Like, Starfire is the same way. They made Starfire and Blackfire princesses. Originally, they were not. I don't believe. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I'm 90% sure those two were not princesses. They just said, oh, you know what? Let's do this too. And it's like, you glued it on at the end, man. Makes no sense. I'm not saying yours did that too. I'm saying about bad writing. Marvel and DC both are very guilty of doing that sometimes. Every character has a backstory. That's kind of the funny thing is, like, not every damn tree has to have a full-blown backstory for the last 50 years. I agree. Backstory is important, but I mean, everything doesn't need to have full-blown backstories. You can do summaries of it, you know? No, you're good, man. I was just joking about something unrelated. Huh. Going a little longer than no, I take it back. Sorry, I was like, I went a little longer than I intended to. No. Let me finish up this coffee, and then I'll finish up the stream. Kyogre, you didn't make a moment for me. You just, another stream in the archive, buddy. You didn't shine. How could you not shine on a beautiful night like tonight? Don't worry. I am not giving up on you. I'll find you. You know what's kind of funny, too, is when I look at the screen of the DS, Kyogre more represents its primal form, even though this game obviously was the introduction of Kyogre and the primal form hadn't been invented yet. But the screen on the DS, Kyogre's red trim is more orange, and it's kind of got like that feel almost. It's I guess it's just more vibrant. But when I look at the computer screen, I'm like, it's a little duller, actually. I don't really get to experience Kyogre the way it was meant to be experienced. Yeah, maybe they came up with it from that screen. I mean, that could be it right there, is that the original DS screen, even though technically the DS didn't exist when this thing came out, but I'm sure it's the same on the SP. It's just there's something more vibrant on the smaller screen. It pops more, and I don't know why. I know there's a lot of enthusiasts that truly believe that, and they have a little bit of science to back it up. I just don't remember what the science is, but when they use CRTVs with component cables on classic systems instead of doing HDMI upgrades, they say that it's more vibrant and it's more true to how the game was meant to be experienced. I am somebody that does not value having a CRTV sitting around with component cables to get the authentic experience. Go ahead and give me the HDMI converter. I'm perfectly fine with that. But there are a lot of people out there that they're like, no, you absolutely don't do that. You do it the authentic way, or you're not really truly experiencing it. What you should do in the future is leave your game running after this so you can reset the seed if you don't get the shiny now. Well, in those regards, what I would say is I really don't want to stress the battery that hard by keeping this thing running for that long. Besides that, I can't put it on standby because the game is actually in the bottom cartridge. It's a Game Boy Advance game, obviously, which means that it can't go on standby. Even shutting the screen, it doesn't acknowledge that. It was not built for this console, or this handheld. So it can't go on standby, which means that it would just stress the battery. But to that point, though, yeah, eventually it will run itself over. I don't remember, so where the random number generator comes in is that I believe, yeah, the seed is the same. So let's say every combination of Kyogre is gone through. Every one of them is encountered at all the frames per second, right? And you get back to the exact seed you're on right now. I believe the order the second time around is going to be identical to what it was this time, too. I don't believe it changes. That I don't remember entirely. No, I'm positive, actually. I'm positive that it's literally like a wheel. When you get to the very last combination that is possible and you've cycled through every combination of Pokemon that could have, you're back at the same seed I'm at now, then you start right back here. You're right at the start again. And every single thing that you encountered the first time comes in the exact same order the second time. Yeah, it's over 100,000, though. You are absolutely correct. But, and it's like, to get through all of them is like, it's not super long, but I think it might be like, I don't know, I don't have an idea, but I know that it's like 20 minutes. Nah, it's not 20 minutes. Well, let me see. I don't know how many combos there are, but I can tell you that if it's, well, I don't need a calculator for this. If it is 60 frames a second, like I think it is, then that means that in 100 seconds, so a minute and a half, you've gone through 600 encounters. Or, I mean, 6,000 encounters. So, I mean, you're already at 6,000, and I don't know how many combos there are, but I know that for the odds to be 1 in 8,192, it's because the number of combinations is like 100,000. So, it's, and yeah, that's exactly it. Is every seed has a shiny alternative. So, there are so many factors that are involved in what seed you're on. But that's the thing, is that, like, if you wait 5 minutes versus you wait 35 minutes, and both times you get a shiny, they're different shinies. They aren't the same Pokemon. So I definitely agree that that it would be funny to do, but it serves almost no purpose. But yeah, it's a long process. Yeah, it's kind of the funny way that old random number generators used to work. And you can do the same thing. They termed it's RNG manipulation. In Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, they termed it as blinking because you're watching the NPCs to determine what seed you're on. But the same thing, actually, they kind of went with the old school RNG back in BDSP. But since it's still on Extra Shift, you you have to do the clock has to be stable. I don't remember what you do, but I know you disconnect from the internet, and I believe you tell the clock. I don't know what you tell the clock. There is something though to like reset the seed, if you will. Pretty much every game has some form of RNG manipulation where you can figure out where you're at on the random number generator. Hence why random number generators are not actually random. They are just cycling through sequences. Now, random number generators, this many years later, are able absolutely to be truly random because they're kind of almost like AI random number generators where the randomness is a sequence in itself to make sure that there is no logical path. That's exactly it. That's the exact same thing as that you can program temporary code in old games, kind of on the same premise. Yeah, they had that in Ocarina and Majora. Yep, exactly. They had that in Ocarina and Majora, where you could actually program sequences in using sequence abuses, and it's stuff like that where it's constants, even though they're random and it's random code and factions. It is truly not random. It is actually a very complex sequence of sequences. It is not actually a random number generator. But like I say, now, especially with AI, I'm sure that random number generators have gotten to the point where they truly are random. To a very small extent, that's why like slot machines at a casino is just a legal scam. It's not actually, it's not gambling. Because slot machines run on a random number generator that is truly a random number generator, meaning that it goes through a sequence to get to the jackpot. Even if that sequence means like $1,000 of coins, it'll eventually hit that and then it rolls around and, it has the same odds over and over and over. So a primal or easygoing RNG means it's just a giant sequence wheel. It happens to be completely random in terms of what sequence correlated to what result, but then that never changes. Hey, Wizardtastic, how are you doing? I'm just about to end it, actually. I'm going to finish up this cup of coffee, and then I'll probably call it here. Let's go 5 more minutes. We'll give it 5 more minutes, and then that'll be it. Yes, that's exactly what it's called, is arbitrary code execution, 100%. What's kind of funny about that is that they'll actually program programs to program that in, because to do the sequence of movements that are necessary to unlock those arbitrary code executions, you have to use bots to input that code. So you're using a bot to quickly execute the code, and it literally, you can put any code you need in there. Texture packs, physics packs, like it's all temporary. It stays there and it overwrites itself. It's absolutely crazy, especially what people have been able to do with it. Yeah, exactly. I've seen that. There's a huge project they put together to where they took old rumors like the Triforce or fighting the Postman or what was the pendant? Remember the butterfly pendant? All those things were in the game. They were actually in the game at some point because the game guides used to have them, or the old commercials used to have them. The Great Fairy used to look very, very different in the original commercials than the final result. Naya and I even talked about that when we were recording our series. And a lot of those things are still in the game. They're just in broken code. They're floating in the middle of space. There's nothing. Fun fact, I mean, there's a million fun facts about Ocarina of Time, but they actually used the Star Fox fighter jets to test the Z targeting system in Zelda, and I guess they left them in the code. So those fighter jets from Star Fox are actually in Ocarina of Time. They just left them there. You can't access them without doing a lot of crazy crap, but at that point, you're almost better off just programming a new Zelda game at that point, rather than doing the action sequences. But regardless of it, it's amazing what you can do. Absolutely crazy what you can do. There's no way they ever thought somebody would do that. Hell, the people that program the game probably know less about how to manipulate the game than people that figured it out. Alrighty, 3 more minutes I'll go, and then I'll go ahead and call it a stream. But for everybody that's out there, man, I see the lurkers. I've seen lurkers for a long time, and I appreciate that you guys wanted to spend some time shiny hunting with me. So everybody that chatted today, Archo, you've had great conversations today, man. It's always a pleasure just to sit down and shoot it with you for a few hours and just enjoy it. That said, I'll probably call it here in 2 minutes, so we'll do a couple more Kyogre encounters and see what happens, roll the dice a few more times, and who knows. It only takes one encounter, guys. It only takes one. So it is so good to be back in Gen 3, dude. I should have been hunting in Gen 3 for, like, the dawn of this channel, because I haven't. The only thing that was kind of funny that happened is I have one video of a shiny Banette that I caught on a save file of a game that I found, and I walked randomly into the Banette, and I didn't even know if I had Pokeballs. I'm like, that's a shiny. Am I going to be able to catch it? And I did. I was like, oh, thank God I had Great Balls. I didn't have any Ultra Balls, no Master Ball, nothing. I was just like, oh my God. So other than that, though, I haven't shiny hunted in Gen 3. That was the last and only time, and that wasn't a hunt. That was an accident. And then I ran into Zubat on this save file on my way to Kyogre, so I put it back in the PC, but I should have kept it out just to show you guys that Zubat. It's too bad that in the old days you could not see the shiny form on the Pokedex. Otherwise, it'd be really cool to go check that out. I should wait a certain amount of time. Let's go 2 more encounters then, since it'll be 9:30 here. You give me the amount of time. What's the amount of time? It can't be 10 minutes. You give me that interval, and I will make it happen. We'll give this one right here, and then, all right, 28 seconds. All right, I'll open up the clock here, and 28 seconds it is. Let me reset the clock here, and this will be your family's lucky number. All right, so it'll be dialogue. So that's the thing, is I think the Kyogre encounter officially starts when you hit the dialogue, so you got to give it some time. So at about 26 seconds from boot, here we go. I'm going to start the clock. 26 seconds into the boot. Here we go, the final encounter, and start. And around 26 seconds, I will start the dialogue, which means at 28 seconds, I will officially engage Kyogre in the encounter. Here we go. Archo, this one's for you. Here we go. Says 28 on my playtime too, huh? All right, look at this. Here it goes. Ivanus, here it goes. The last encounter of the night. Here we go. 25, 26, engage Kyogre. 28, here we go. 28 seconds. The final encounter of the night. Let's see what Kyogre's got. Archo's lucky number. Which is still arbitrary because I could encounter it a few different times. Lucy, come on. Here we go. Unfortunately, we got nothing on that one. That is a blue Kyogre, which means that is not the target tonight. Unfortunate. Watch it be shiny. One more. One more. One more. All right. All right. It didn't take much convincing. You'll get 1 bonus. You're right. Because I always do say that just because you hit the mark doesn't mean you got it down to the milliseconds correctly. So you got to do it like 30 times to make sure that you're truly not getting it. So, all right, I'll give you 28 one more time. Let me start the clock. Here we go. 28 seconds. Final bonus encounter, and then I'm off for the night, guys. Here we go. The bonus encounter, 28 seconds. I'll engage it. I'll engage it at 26 seconds, which honestly I could just engage it now. In fact, you know what? I should do that. Let's do this. All right, here we go. 21, 22, 23. Here we go. 4, 5, 6, 7. Now. All right, guys, that was 28 on the dot, man. That was exactly 28. Here it goes. It can't be shiny. You haven't seen it react, or you haven't seen it spawn yet, Ivanus. All right, here it goes. Last encounter of the night. And that is unfortunately a blue Kyogre again. Oh, that's a heartbreaker right there. But hey, it's 1 in 8,192. It's bound to happen several thousand times of heartbreak. Sorry, guys. We tried our best. Thanks for spending tonight with me, guys, especially on a Thursday night stream. It's been a pleasure to see everybody that's come through here, and gonna throw this fish into the sun. Well, he doesn't deserve that. I mean, we're gonna throw him into the Sky Dragon God thing, but not the sun. Imagine that we had like a Helios Pokemon that was a sun dragon that comes out like Deoxys from space, and it's like, yeah, you know how Rayquaza is the god of the skies? Well, I'm even higher than that. I'm past the stratosphere, man. All right, guys. It would be black, not pink. Then it would be... Oh, sorry. I see what you're saying. It would be black and charred and it vaporized. In fact, it wouldn't be anything. It'd just be a bunch of particles. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for the stream. I really do appreciate your time tonight, guys. I will see you around possibly tomorrow for Friday Night Smash. I always take October off, but I think we're back into it, so we'll see. I'm pretty sure, though, there's a chance Friday Night Smash tomorrow. Alrighty, guys. Have yourself a good night, and thank you so much. See you guys